Okay, so this video is going to go through 1 through 4 from the homework. Alright, we're going to go through 1 through 4 for the homework. So number 1, 4 cosine theta plus 7 pi over 4. Okay, so there's theta. Alright, so our period's 2 pi because there's nothing in front of it. We're going to set this either mentally or physically on paper equal to 0. So theta plus 7 pi over 4 equals 0. Subtract it, theta equals negative 7 pi over 4. Again, when theta does not have a coefficient, it's just going to be the opposite. So my left-hand point is negative 7 pi over 4. Alright, again, since there's no coefficient, my period is 2 pi. So I'm going to add 2 pi to negative 7 pi over 4 to get my right-hand point. Alright, the result would be pi over 4. So my left end point's at negative 7 pi over 4. My right end point's at pi over 4. I'm going to try to get out a ruler. Try and do this at least as straight as I can. Alright. Okay. So now the amplitude is 4. There's no vertical shifts because there's no number being added outside parentheses. So this is 4, that's negative 4, alright? Again, there's no need to make that at 0 if you don't want to, so there's negative 7 pi over 4 for our first left end point, pi over 4 for our right end point, alright? Halfway, 1 minus 7 is negative 6, half of negative 6 is negative 3, so halfway is negative 3 pi over 4. My quarter point, repeat that process with these two. Alright, negative 7 plus negative 3 is negative 10. After that is negative 5, so that's going to be negative 5 pi over 4. Do the same thing over here. Negative 3 plus negative 1 is negative 2. After negative 2 is negative 1. So this is negative pi over 4. Alright, it's a cosine, so we're going to start at the max. We're going to end at the max. Halfway through, we're at the min. Quarter points were at 0. Alright, I'm going to add the period again, which is 2 pi. Probably going to put me around there, 9 pi over 4. Blue crimp. I'm going to end up with 9 pi over 4. Alright, if I look at number 2, once again, my period is going to be 2 pi because there's no coefficient. My left end point from the opposite is 11 pi over 6. Alright, my right end point, which comes from adding 12 pi over 6, because it's 2 pi, would be 23 pi over 6. Alright, now I'm going to start my graph. Alright. Got 11 pi over 6, 23 pi over 6, 35 pi over 6. Alright, amplitude is 2, so I'm going to go from 2 to negative 2. Alright, halfway point, 11 plus 23 is 34, half of 34 is 17. 17 pi over 6. My quarter point, 11 plus 17 is 28. Halfway to 28 is 14, so this would be 14 pi over 6, which reduces down to 7 pi over 3. Again, if you want to leave that as 14 pi over 6, you're talking about 1 point on the entire quiz, so it's up to you. Do the same thing here. 17 plus 23 is 40. Half of 40 is 20. 10 pi over 6, 20. 10 pi over 3. When I do the math, sine, remember, starts at 0, ends at 0, halfway through is at 0. First quarter point, which in this case is 7 pi over 3. Third quarter point, negative 10 pi over 3. Alright, kind of eyeball it for the second. Alright, now the domain, all real numbers. And then the range, take my minimum, which is -2. I put that as my left endpoint of my compound inequality. U to the y or f of x, doesn't matter to me. And then that's going to be +2 over there. Alright, number 3, y equals cosine of 2 theta plus 3 pi over 4. Okay, so now I got a coefficient. So now my period is 2 pi divided by 2, which is pi. My left endpoint, 2 theta plus 3 pi over 4 equals 0. 2 theta equals -3 pi over 4. Theta equals -3 pi over 8. So that's my left endpoint. For my right endpoint, I'm going to add just pi. Remember, our periods change. So I'm going to add 8 pi to 8 over to that. So that would put the right endpoint at 5 pi over 8. All right, remember, I'm adding 8 pi over 8 to that. Common denominator. No number directly in front of the cosine, so I go back to going from 1 to -1. Alright, if that's what you like to do, if you want to put the -3 pi over 8 over 0 there, that's fine. 5 pi over 8 is going to be here. I just think it adds the drawing of it a little more difficulty, but it's up to you. Halfway, 5 minus 3 is 2, half of 2 is 1, so I got pi over 8. Third quarter point, 1 plus 5 is 6, half of 6 is 3, 3 pi over 8. My first quarter point, 1 minus 3 is -2, half of -2 is -1, so negative pi over 8. All right. Okay. Cosine starts at the left endpoint, maximum, ends at the right endpoint, maximum, halfway is the minimum. Quarter points are both at 0. Add the period again to get your second endpoint. So 5 pi over 8 plus 8 pi over 8 puts my next at 13 pi over 8. Eyeball that. Don't spend a lot of time with that. And you're done. Last one, y equals sine of theta over 2 plus 7 pi over 6. So my period is 4 pi. It's 2 divided by 1/2. All right, it's 4. My left endpoint is the opposite of the constant, which is 7 pi over 6, so -7 pi over 6, divided by the coefficient, which is 1/2. All right, so -7/6 times 2 is -7/3 pi. To get my right endpoint, I add those two, so I'm going to take -7 pi over 3 and add 4 pi. 4 pi is 12 pi over 3. -7 plus 12 is 5 pi over 3. Alright. My left endpoint at -7 pi over 3. My right endpoint at 5 pi over 3. 5 minus 7 is -2, half of -2 is -1, so negative pi over 3. -1 plus 5 is 4, half of 4 is 2, so that's 2 pi over 3. -1 and -7 is -8, half of that is -4 pi over 3. We're back to sine, so we're going to go 0, 0, 0, max and min. No coefficient in front, so my amplitude goes back to being 1. All right. My domain, remember, no matter what, is going to be all real numbers. And my range, since the amplitude is 1, goes back to -1, less than or equal to, like we said, you can write f of x if you're more comfortable with that, and 1. All right? Okay, so I hope that helped. I'll be posting 5 through 8, and then 9 through 12, and then 13 through 15 throughout the day. Take care.